You thought the dark ages are well behind us? Think again. As we speak, the world is getting darker. One day we might even perish in a frozen, depressing shadow world. In fact, global dimming may have killed hundreds of thousands of people already. It's some decades later. Things on Earth have gotten way out of hand. Totally. Our planet has turned into a cold, terrible place. Outside, a gray ceiling of clouds permanently covers the sky. The sun hasn't shone for many years. It's twilight out there always, and it's cold. A devastating ice age has come upon the planet. Trust us, you don't want to live here. In the eternal night outside, people die by the millions. Those who survive have turned into pale, sickly, depressed, lost souls who could do with a sunny vacation. In isolated bands, they stumble about through the darkness, cuddled together, clinging to life as good as they can. The stuff we call culture has all but slipped away from them. The world's economy has long collapsed. Today, men live like our ape-like ancestors did, always hungry, and always looking for food. They feed on distinguishing diets of slimy funguses, insects, rodents, and mosses, the only edible things that survive. And frankly, without sunlight, mankind doesn't stand a chance. Oxygen levels will drop, and the food will get even scarcer. In the end, we'll die a horrible death. One man after the other, one community after the next. Probably, we'll have forgotten about what a kind, lush, sunny planet Earth once was. Still out there, above the clouds, the sun is shining as bright as ever. It's the thick clouds that are causing all the trouble. They bounce back the sunlight into space, preventing it from reaching the Earth's surface and its inhabitants. The result? Darkness and cold. So, who put those clouds up there in the first place? Well, blame yourself, you did. You guessed it, it's those humans and their pollution again. The dark apocalypse even has its own official name, the global dimming. Already, Earth is a bit darker and shadowier than it should have been. Global dimming was first discovered in the 1980s in Israel. Agricultural biologist Gerald Stanhill consideringly discovered something weird. The sun shines about 22% less in Israel than it did in the 1950s. It is as if someone has been slowly turning off the lights. Then came 9/11. In the days that followed the terrorist attacks, air traffic was grounded. This led to a sudden, remarkable change in American weather. For 3 days, it was unusually sunny in the US. Nights were exceptionally bright. On average, it got 1 degree Celsius warmer in the US during those days. That doesn't sound like much, but it's huge in terms of climatology. The biggest jump in temperature ever witnessed. After that, more evidence poured in that the world really is getting darker. Scientists have discovered that water evaporates less readily than it did before, and evidence came from all over the planet. The US is now 10% darker than it was in the 1950s, Western Europe is 16%, and Russia is almost 30%. In fact, global dimming may have already made its first wave of victims already. In the 1980s, about 1 million Africans in the Sahel died during a massive drought. According to one theory, it was global dimming's doing. The sun simply didn't shine hard enough to power up the systems that should have given the Sahel its rainy seasons. Poor Africans. But hey, wait a minute, wasn't the world getting warmer instead of colder? What about global warming? You're absolutely right. There's massive evidence that shows the world is indeed getting warmer, but it's also getting darker. In fact, many scientists believe that global dimming puts the brake on the warming of our planet. Without global dimming, global warming would be much worse, and there's no telling which will win in the end, heat or cold. Roughly speaking, global dimming is faster and heftier, while global warming is slower and more gradual. Somewhere down the line, there could be a threshold, a point in which dimming beats warming. Suddenly, we'd see temperatures drop. We'd be preparing that rodent suit in the dark in no time, say, within several generations. On the other hand, maybe it will be fine. There's an upshot. The particles in the sky that bounce back to sunlight don't live that long. They'll rain down on the Earth and get washed away. And that'll be it. No ice age, no chewing on rats and bugs. What's more, we're killing global dimming already. In Europe and the US, more laws forbid the use of fuels and chemicals that puff bad particles into the air. Off with you mean sunlight blocking clouds of the dirt. But But hold it, there could be horrible backlashes. Didn't we just say that global dimming very likely holds back global warming? There you go. If we stop polluting the skies and put back the sunlight, the consequences could be truly apocalyptic. Global warming will fiercely kick in. Suddenly, the sun will shine abundantly, pushing temperatures up to several degrees. We'd have savage summers and lukewarm winters. According to several studies, this would, sort of kill us, really. By 2030, the poles and the glaciers and Greenland's ice sheet would completely melt. Sea levels would jump up, flooding billions of homes. The Amazon rainforest would wither and turn into a desert. The northern parts of Europe and the US would get an African climate. We might even have a runaway greenhouse effect, a spine-chilling climate mishap that would literally kill everyone living on the planet. So what would you prefer, to fry or to freeze? Would you rather get roasted, or would you rather die in the dark chewing on bugs? Perhaps it's a better idea to cut down a little on both pollution and the greenhouse gases after all.